In southern France, from the peaks of the Pyrenees, the land sweeps down across wide valleys to a glorious seacoast, a melting pot of Mediterranean culture where they produce more wine than all the other regions combined. Hello, I'm Don McGowan. Welcome to Languedoc Roussillon. The capital of the region is one of southern France's most dynamic cities, Montpellier. In Vermont, they call the state capital Montpellier. This is an ancient university town. Students make up a quarter of the population, so the town has a lively, youthful ambiance. I love the place because pedestrians have reclaimed the city core. Well, I think I'll have the croque monsieur.
With a population of 350,000, Montpellier is a lovely Mediterranean city located just 8 kilometers from the sea. This is the 8th largest city in France. The visionary mayor led a team of town planners that transformed the city core into a huge, pedestrian-friendly plaza. A sleek new tramway transports people from parking areas outside the center of the city, making traveling between downtown and surrounding areas very easy. It's a smooth, quiet ride. Montpellier has colorful markets, one right in the main plaza. This is not just for tourists. Residents of the city frequent their warm and welcoming markets every day. Everything can be found here, from clothing to organic produce. Look for the homemade olive oil and chocolates perfumed with candied orange. Just off the plaza, you'll discover tree-lined boulevards, a cool, leafy backdrop for cafes and shops. The name Montpellier first appeared in the year 985. The university was founded here in 1289. Today, the student population reaches 60,000. The town is compact, pleasing, and bursting with life, except in July and August when students are on holiday. The city has its own triumphal arch at the end of the promenade. Indeed, much of the older architecture reflects a Parisian influence 470 miles away. Montpellier is renowned for its cultural life and hosts annual festivals. The city has varied bars and restaurants to suit all tastes and budgets. No doubt your server will be a student. As you stroll along the narrow streets, you are walking through 1,000 years of history. Guided tours are available through the tourist office on the main plaza. In 1756, the Marquis de Montcalm left this house to travel to Quebec to lead the French forces against the English. Another surprising discovery in sunny Montpellier.
The beach, and plenty of it. Visitors are attracted to 200 kilometers of beaches in this region. The sand is fine, the rocks a light brown, and there are 300 days of sunshine a year. Someone must have counted. Now for some bare facts about beach life. On this side of the Atlantic, North Americans tend to be less inhibited than back home. Going topless here is quite common. As for taking it all off, this region has the largest nudist center in Europe on this coast. In Montpellier, at the tourist office, you can pick up a brochure about bathing in the Buff.
This spot on the beach close to Montpellier has rental chairs, a restaurant, bar, and changing rooms. A full-service location where you can spend the whole day on the sand and in the surf. With its water quality and its respect for the natural preserved environment, this region of Languedoc Roussillon has the best protected coast in France. Sea fishing is a great tradition here. A perfect scene for those do-nothing days on a holiday in southern France. A step away from the beaches and sheltered by Mediterranean vegetation, the golf complex at La Grande Motte has 3 courses designed by Robert Trent Jones. The excellent layout is open year-round and is part of a modern resort village a short drive from Montpellier. Spa hotels are popular at La Grande Motte. They offer treatment programs for feeling great in both body and mind. Hotels offer various packages, including 2 or 3-day relaxation weekends, including accommodations. There's a full sports program from tennis to riding, all within a few steps from the sea. The village is a one-stop holiday destination where you determine the pace. Hotels and condos overlook the beautiful marina, welcoming the well-heeled yachting set from Europe and abroad. Now, this is the day I arrived in my 65-footer from Marseille. At night, the marina is aglow with restaurants, bars, pizzerias, and ice cream parlors. The easy life of La Grande Motte. Coming up next, a magnificent abbey, the Cathar castles, and a taste of Corbières. In Languedoc Roussillon, the Corbières region is the land of vineyards, castles, and abbeys, a taste of ancient history and a taste of the grape. In a little valley, almost out of sight, is one of the historic gems in Corbières, a centuries-old abbey. The handsome buildings of Fontfroid Abbey date from the 12th and 13th centuries. Over the years, the old Cistercian abbey fell into decline and was completely abandoned in 1791, its works of art scattered throughout the countryside. Privately owned for close to 100 years, the abbey has been beautifully restored. In the wonderful cloister, one thinks of monks sitting on benches reading alone or meditating on what their memory and spirit had retained of the readings. The Rose Garden contains 3,000 rose bushes featuring 11 varieties. The Abbey won a regional competition for design and layout. You can move freely on footpaths throughout the Abbey, enjoying this charming, tranquil, historic site. The tour will take an hour. There's a small entrance fee.
They are called the Cathar castles. The Cathars were members of several medieval Christian sects. They did not build the castles, but rather sought refuge in them. Corbières has some of the best examples of Cathar castles. Come on, no one's in.
The Ville Rouge Castle is one of the finest examples of medieval military architecture. In 1321, it was the scene of the burning at the stake of the last Cathar named Parfait, not as in ice cream parfait. The 3 floors of the castle's east wing have been restored. The castle was classified as a historical monument in 1976. There are audio-visual exhibitions showing village life during the period the castle was in use. From the Sentry Walk, there are splendid views of the village and the hills of the Corbières region. In the summer, Ville Rouge stages medieval banquets. Bring your own Mylanta. Now an area that boasts not one, but a quartet of Cathar castles. Château de las Tours represent 4 castles at the summit of a mountain range, keeping watch over the passage where the valley narrows. We viewed the rugged setting from across the valley. The 4 castles are particularly attractive in the light of the late afternoon and early evening, which enhances the golden color of the stone. You can hike to the castles along the pathway, but climbing over the ramparts is forbidden. Get caught, and it's the stake for you.
They've been growing grapes here in this part of southern France since Roman times. Caesar enjoyed vin de toga. During the past 15 years, the wines of Languedoc Roussillon have improved considerably, and some of the best originate here in Corbières.
As you travel throughout this captivating region, you never lose sight of a vineyard. The intense sunlight and the dry winds that sweep across the Corbières create a remarkably healthy climate for the vines. Many wineries welcome visitors for tastings. Languedoc Roussillon has more than 30 appellations that produce celebrated wine: red, rosé, white, sparkling, sweet natural wine, and simple country wine. And here in Corbières, production cellars have undergone a complete transformation.
We're starting with the rosé, right? And we'll work our way right through.
All right.
Excellent.
In Corbières, you'll discover the wine, like the land, is of quite a different nature. And you can take a taste of the region back home. Coming up next, the capital of Roussillon, the cathedral at Elne, and the great fortress Carcassonne.
Travel flew to France courtesy of Air France. Air France, making the sky the best place on earth.
When you came to Carcassonne in the Middle Ages, you may have brought battering rams, flaming arrows, and other crude instruments of warfare. This is the greatest fortress city in Europe, a medieval town that must be the envy of the designers at Disney. Oh, by the way, when you're walking into the arches, watch out for blazing oil.
The best preserved medieval citadel on the continent is a dramatic reminder of the ancient city's turbulent past. Through the ages, the city expanded its defenses, adding an outer wall around the inner wall. Black Prince, England's fierce warrior, couldn't break in during the 100 Years' War. Today, you can just stroll through the gates. That's progress. Inside the old city, visitors meander into a maze of cobbled alleys running by half-timbered houses, a city alive with antique shops, cozy restaurants, and shaded public squares. Be sure to walk around Carcassonne's spectacular walls. From its famous towers, there are stunning views of the new town below. Try to extend your visit beyond sunset when the fortress is bathed in floodlights. A major tourist attraction, the city has its predictable tacky shops that Robin Hood wouldn't be caught dead in. Look past all that and you get the feel of a fairy tale castle. After its glory days, Carcassonne fell into disrepair. In the 1850s, restoration work began and the great fortress was repaired. Today's invaders come armed with cameras and credit cards. The Black Prince would be envious. On the Aude River, 24 kilometers south of Carcassonne, Limoux is an old market town once famous for its woolens. Part of this pretty town is still enclosed within a fortified wall. Now, the town council will greet you. Today, Limoux is known for its excellent sparkling wine called Blanquette de Limoux, which is less expensive than champagne. The town is a colorful place on Fridays, Market Day. Limoux, just a little off the beaten path.
There is a definite Spanish flavor in this part of southern France due to history, climate, and geography. France and neighboring Spain fought for control of the region over a period of 200 years.
In this city, some visitors think they've crossed the border into Spain. The town was once Catalonia's second city after Barcelona, and Catalan is still spoken here.
Perpignan is the lively capital of Roussillon and one of the sunniest spots in Europe. A town with a French face and, for many locals, a Spanish heart.
This is a pleasant, lively city where the locals seem to spend much of their time on public streets. This is one of the sunniest spots in France. July and August are the hot months when everyone heads for the beach 6 miles away. On this day, we joined a happy scene, a group of young people leaving church after celebrating their first communion. Families then enjoy a large midday meal to mark the important event. With its appealing pedestrian streets, Perpignan is a good town for strolling and shopping. There are 2 major markets, one held daily, and in another location, one on Saturday and Sunday mornings. In this gentle climate, flowers grow in great abundance, as you'll discover at the market. Popular local produce include beef, sweet onions, and rice. Have a drink at the Market Cafe and watch the passing show. Place Arago is a pleasant square ringed with palm trees and magnolias, the perfect location for some of the town's more popular cafes. There is a youthful feel to the area that brings a certain vibrance to Perpignan. Every Thursday during July and August, there is live street theater and music in the city center. In high season, there's an excellent 3-hour guided walking tour of the city's main attractions in the historic district. Perpignan on foot, the only way to go. Close to Perpignan, on the way to seaside resorts, the town of Elne is worth visiting for its fortified, partially Romanesque cathedral. Work began on the cathedral in the 11th century. It was built on the plan of a basilica, central nave and 2 side aisles. The beautiful cloister made from serré marble was used as a promenade by the canons of the chapter. The cathedral is a good introduction to Roussillon Romanesque design. Open daily June to September from 9:30 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. Off-season days are shorter. And speaking of religion, there is excellent golf next to the Mediterranean and close to the Spanish border. With the mountains in the background, Saint-Cyprien is the first genuine golf resort in France. Saint-Cyprien has 2 courses, a championship 18-hole layout and a 9-hole course offering stimulating play for the experienced player and for the duffer. There is a golf school and a hotel on the course, from bed to first tee in minutes. Coming up next, a cruise along Côte Vermeille, pretty Collioure, and the special wine of Banyuls. With the captain's welcome, we set off on this Mediterranean excursion aboard Le Saint-Honoré.
It is called Côte Vermeille, the Vermilion Coast, named for one of the dazzling colors of the local landscape and coastline that runs south to Spain just a few kilometers away. The clear, bright light has attracted artists for ages. Dali, Picasso, Matisse came here to paint and to play.
The day was brilliant along this magnificent coast where the Pyrenees sweep down to the sea, and between the mountains and the water are pretty villages and vineyards. Now you know why artists come here to paint. Our morning trip takes us into beautiful small harbors. Big cruise ships dominate the local fishing fleet, visiting yachts and sailboats. The resorts along this rocky part of the coast, nestled inside little bays, once served as minor maritime fortresses. These daily cruises last an hour and a half and cost about $10. During July and August, there are sunset excursions. 4-hour fishing jaunts are also available. The stunning Côte Vermeille. This is the best way to see it.
All right, load the camera and have some extra film. You'll discover several attractive seaside villages on Côte Vermeille. Perhaps the prettiest is Collioure, a town of 3,000 on a wonderful site overlooking the Mediterranean. We are 570 miles away from the madding crowd in Paris.
Perched on the rocky coastline, Collioure is an idyllic gem, a must-see town on the Côte Vermeille. The small Catalan harbor is sheltered by a quiet bay. The painter Henri Matisse once said, "In the whole of France, there is no sky as blue as the one above Collioure." Because of its opening to the Mediterranean, the town has always been a desirable place. Quaint, narrow streets lead to charming cliffside homes. Many are available for weekly and monthly rentals at prices far less than other, better-known resorts like Côte d'Azur and Saint-Tropez. The homes are well cared for, and there are flowers everywhere. Down by the beach and harbor, you'll find interesting shops and small cafes. Although Collioure is the most popular town on this part of the coast, the pace is unhurried. If you like anchovies, this is the place to be. They are caught nearby and salted on site. Nearby Banyuls is famous for its wine. You can visit La Grande Cave for a tour and tasting. Banyuls is a sweet red wine like a tawny port. The wine spends up to 8 years aging in enormous 100-year-old barrels. This new aging room was actually built up and around the barrels. The guided tour takes you outside for a splendid view of the vineyards that run from the winery to the foothills of the Pyrenees. In the tasting room, you learn that Banyuls wine is dark ruby in color and is served as an aperitif and dessert wine. There are flavors of vanilla and cinnamon. The wine goes well with chocolate, so pass the brownies.
Ooh la la.
I picked up a bottle on the spot.
Between vineyards and the sea, the 4,600 souls of Banyuls can boast they live in the most southerly seaside resort in France.
With vineyards as a backdrop, Banyuls is built around a broad sweep of pebble beach. It is just a few steps from the town to water's edge. Banyuls is developing without losing its yesteryear charm. After a wine tasting, check out the town's seafront aquarium run by the Sorbonne's Marine Biology Department. A seawater therapy center is located here. Sip the wine, take the cure. All part of the laid-back lifestyle in Banyuls-sur-Mer.
Except for Paris, Languedoc Roussillon is the third most popular tourist destination in the country. It was not always thus. Old ways and tradition die hard. This region had to be pushed and pulled into the 20th century. Still, it is less spoiled than the Riviera. We can thank the locals for dragging their feet. For Travel, I'm Don McGowan. Goodbye from France.
Don McGowan's wardrobe provided by Henry Marks, located on Drummond Street in Montreal.